Very recently, a civil society organization, as part of the contribution, also analyzed the budget, their appropriation, the law, the budget that was actually passed recently. And it was shown that about 7 point something trillion was actually the insertion in there, based on some of the figures that we have. That was exactly the budget, the old budget of the country as of, I think 2014 or 2015 thereabout. These are some of the challenges in there. You looked at the process of debt management in the country. It's not as transparent as the way it should be. But of course, is this to say that there has not been progress? No, there has been progress all along. Like I said, we have representation in the country. It's obvious that in terms of multi-party democracy, of course, many might argue against this of recent times, but it still exists. We have the multi-party democracy. Periodic election is still happening regarding that. But of course, I will have to move to inclusion because it's part of the process. I heard one of the panelists also talking about some of the things that we need to do differently. As civil society, we need to continue to engage the process to make it more accountable. And I'll quickly also speak to the citizen. I think one of the things that we need to do differently as a people is the fact that there is a need for us to redefine what we call citizenship. I think this is very, very important. It's one of the major, for me, it's one of the major lists I have for us to ascend to attain a level of democratic development in the country. I will start by saying this. As a student of history, I quite understand how, in terms of how we gain independence, the set of leaders or heroes, if I'm going to use that word, that actually fought for independence of the country, there are strategies they use. Some strategy like civil disobedience, some strategy like striking actions, against the colonial masters. And eventually those things were not redefined. So citizenship oftentimes is seen as the angle of right, not of duty. And there is a need for us to balance the two, both right and duty. As Nigerians, we have a duty to the nation, and the nation also has a duty to us, which is to uphold our civic liberty in a democratic settings. And of course, in terms of our constitution, I think the way we were coming as a people, we need to also understand that corruption is part of the system. We can't hide from that. We have peculiarity as a people in terms of the different region that we belong to. And I think our constitution should largely reflect this, because that is when and I think maybe I'm speaking towards in terms of restructuring, no matter how we define it, right? Because each region has its peculiarity, each region has what they can do differently and they can do best. So how can we do it in a way that this over-centralization of activities and power needs to be attended to, and it has to do with the process of constitutional amendment. I'm also pretty much aware that the constitution is ongoing. The constitutional amendment process is ongoing at the moment, and there is a need for us to have that conversation actively regarding that. Of course, some of the things I also have to say in terms of participation of people in elections, it's very right, yes, very correct. The number of registered voters in the country as of 2023 is 93 million. 86 million collected PVC. But at the end of the day, in terms of voting, I think the total vote cast was roughly around 24 million thereabout in 2023. That's barely 27% of the figure. That is really abysmal. But what happens? I can't blame the citizen because, like the co-panelist said the other time, the social contract between Nigerians and the leaders, there's a need to build trust. And you can't build trust without accountability. You can't build trust without transparency. You can't build trust when there are no available information for people to use. I say this oftentimes, to get data in this country is a difficult thing. We don't even know the number we are. They continue to tell us we're 210, some say we're 205, some say we're 200 million. These are some of the things that are very important for us to put in place if we want to move ahead as a democratic nation.